Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Loan Officer Wealth Podcast. We are absolutely blessed to have Josh Lewis with us today, who is number 105 of the loan officers in the nation right now. So, Josh, it is a true honor to have you on the show. Thank you for being here.
No, thanks for having us. The stuff we're going to talk about today is a lot more fun than the mundane stuff of putting loans together. And my weakness or the thing I need to be working on is continuing to build out my team so that they can do the mundane stuff, so that we can continue to spend more time on the growth oriented stuff we're going to talk about today.
That is amazing. Well, I cannot wait to get into it. So, in the preamble, you mentioned a good friend of both of ours, Carl White, and the Freedom Club, and he has a teaching that he calls the Triad of Awesome. So, I know a lot of people will say, okay, one of the top 100, loan teams in the nation. A lot of people would think, okay, you must be a whiz at processing. You must be a whiz at some of the more, like you said, mundane tasks of being a loan officer. But I think people are going to be really surprised with the answer. So, what would you consider to be your triad of awesome? And what are you focusing on right now in your mortgage business?
Really one-to-many communication. So that triad is: what can you be the best in the world at? What do you enjoy and are energized by? And what can you monetize and make money at? So as we've been working forward, loans don't necessarily energize me. My greatest strength is also my greatest weakness as a loan officer. I am really good at putting difficult, hairy files together. Well, putting
Hmm.
difficult and hairy files together is not fun and pleasant and can beat you up over time. So if you're a great marketer and you can bring in lots of cookie cutter simple loans, then be that guy and go through that. I specialize in making really hard files come together, and it can make things a little bit stressful. So on this side, my ability to communicate difficult concepts in ways that people can understand and follow and
Hmm.
counteract some of the garbage that is out there. Like, there are some very good YouTube channels, very good Instagram channels, but it's social media celebrity is very easy, and there's a lot of people out there going for views versus education. We call our podcast the Educated Homebuyer Podcast. That's what we want. We want to create educated homebuyers. Whether, for those of us in the mortgage business, whether we like it or not, things have changed considerably. This is my 27th year in the business. When I started,
Wow.
realtors controlled easily two-thirds of the deals, probably more
Yep.
like 80%. So you didn't have an option. You need to get in front of realtors, build relationships, and they were going to give you business. Over time, with online lenders, we had the internet, and now you see billboards and tech lending. People would go, well, that's a great rate, I'm going to go with this kid in a call center. We all know that's
Yeah.
not the best, but it was something new we were fighting against. Now you have this new world of Rocket being everywhere, Loan Depot
Yep.
being on Major League Baseball broadcasts. People have got the message that loans are very easy. You can get them from anywhere, and these big giant companies are going to be able to give you the best deal because of their economies of scale. So rather than fight against that, my thought here is, let's educate people and let them know. A business partner of mine, Scott Shang, has started a new podcast called The Second Opinion Loan Officer. Like, we would all, as true independent mortgage experts, would be better off just being able to be a second opinion loan officer, because people
Yep.
are going to call centers, whether it's a big VA call center that exists, the biggest call center we talked about, Rocket. You're getting to a large volume operations that at its best is the McDonald's of doing mortgages. No one wants to eat at McDonald's. You stop at McDonald's when you're on a road trip and you go, okay, not the best, not the worst. I know what it's going to cost and I know what it is, and they have an order I'm familiar with. You
Yep.
wouldn't do that for something as important as your mortgage, but that's the message that we're fighting. And the reason why there's an audience for the Educated Homebuyer podcast, the reason why there's an audience for my buddy's YouTube channel that we do a 2-hour live answering questions every week, is because people aren't getting expertise. The business has tried to commoditize mortgages and make it seem like, hey, a monkey can do these. Chat GPT can do your loan for you. Jump in and have at it. And it's just not the case. There's too much complexity, there's too much government regulation, and you truly do need an expert. Now, that being said, there are clients that don't need that. I got a lady right now, she makes $300,000 a year. She got $500,000 in the bank and an 800 credit score with no debt. A chat GPT probably could figure out how to do that loan pretty easily, but those unfortunately are few and far between.
Yeah, that is so true. And I think that people will always buy from people that they know, like, and trust. And when you build that through your content, like you said, you do it at scale, you can put enough people through your funnel that there's enough that pop out that can really truly drive a significant amount of volume in the business. So you mentioned that you've got a 2 hour live that you do once a week. Can you walk us through your content plan and how you're approaching your media? How are you going to the consumer and getting those eyeballs and getting that message in front of people?
So again, on Wednesdays, we are lucky. Jeb has built, my buddy Jeb Smith is a great realtor here in Southern California. During COVID, he tripled down on content, specifically YouTube. Got into Daryl Eves' coaching program, who happens to be Mr. Beast's coach or one of his advisors and mentors, and learned a lot of the behind the scenes, that it's not as easy as record a great video and it's going to find an audience. There's so many things behind that that you have to do right. So he's done that and built that. So every week from 5 to 7, we get 2 hours to spend with people who are interested in buying a home, refinancing a home, not so much refinance here right now, and the ebbs and flows. So last year, beginning of the year, especially late 21, early 2022, rates are still really low, lots of refinancers, lots of buyers. We would peak at about 450 viewers at any time on the show. And over the
Wow.
course of the show, you'd have about 3,000 in those 2 hours. Now we're getting 225, 250, and a couple thousand throughout the show. And it's kind of split. It's half his audience, people who subscribe to Jeb, who see all of his videos and they want to check in and ask questions. And half of them, the YouTube algorithm goes, hey, there's people tuning in and watching, not turning it off and asking questions and interacting. So it's putting it out in front of people. So you can tell there's new audience coming in that doesn't have any idea who we are there. And I will say, our big focus with the show, Jeb and I do a little debrief after every show, and we've been saying the worst thing we've done is asking for business. A guy came on the show last week and he says, hey, you guys, I want to say how awesome this show is and how much it's benefited me. I just closed on my first home purchase here in Southern California. And we go, well, Jeb's a realtor in Southern California. He could have sold him the house. I'm a loan officer in California. I could have done the loan for him. We are clearly not making it obvious enough that we would like to transact with you. Yes, we're here to educate and empower, but we would also like to be your service provider of choice when it comes time to do that. So we're ramping that up as we go, trying to in a cool way, like Carl would say, do it in a cool way. You don't want to be, hey, you have to get your loan from us. And there are people online that are having success on YouTube that are not super cool about asking for the business. But for us,
Yep.
it's balancing that line of making sure we're getting people to know, yeah, we're here to give you the information, but when you're ready to transact, we want to be your choice.
Yeah, absolutely. And for our listeners, a takeaway from that is that you don't necessarily have to be the star of the show, and everybody wants a house and nobody wants a mortgage. And so you can be the platform, you can be the show, you can be the one that puts that together, but be doing your research. Go out, take a look. Who are the top YouTubers in your local marketplace for real estate, insurance, financial planning, divorce attorneys? Like, find the people that enjoy creating the content and then offer collaborations with them. Build your own audience, but also go out and find those people that have the audience that you can collaborate with, because a real estate conversation is always more valuable with a mortgage component. So I think it's absolutely brilliant that you've put that together.
And Chris, a secondary piece, what you said, not just finding people that enjoy creating the content, people that have already done it and shown that they have had success, not because, hey, I have the big audience. That's helpful if they will help share that big audience with you, but the fact that they have shown that they are good on video. Let's be
Yeah.
realistic. I know people that are amazing loan officers that show up on video and you're like, that is the most boring person I've ever seen. And they may or may not be right, but no one's going to pay attention. So if you just go to your own sphere and you say, hey, I have an insurance guy that's amazing. He gets my clients the best quotes. We always have everything in well ahead of time, runs his office perfectly. That's great. But if you get him on video and he's boring as a drum, there's no reason for you to have that person there. You have to focus on people that are interesting. I know other folks who've done a podcast, who've done a YouTube channel, and what they do, they find top producing realtors in their area and say, hey, we'd like to come on and talk to you about your success, what's working, and what buyers should know, buyers and sellers that you would work with should know. There's benefit to that. And a lot of those people are good on video, but some of them are just terrible. So
Yep.
know what your goals and objectives are. Is it consumer direct? Or is it a route? Is it a Trojan horse to get you in front of realtors? If you're, a high I love those relationships, love getting out in front of realtors, it can be a great strategy. And I know people that are having success with it. For us, we're trying to get the consumer to reach out directly to us so that we don't have to go out and build as many of those realtor relationships. There's nothing bad to say about realtors. I have a handful that are great. We're talking about Jeb, it's his YouTube channel. He and I are really, really good friends. But for the most part, going out and trying to convince realtors day after day that they should work with us when they have 14 other real loan officers who are probably not 1/10 as good as you are, telling them the same things and making big promises they probably can't deliver on, it's just a little bit more difficult. So different strokes for different folks. I know people who are having great success with that. I know a lot of what Carl teaches in the Freedom Club is focused around that. For us, it's how do we generate a volume of inquiries through content and then nurture those over time.
Absolutely. And that is the future. I mean, you only have to look as far as Bigger Pockets and the brand that they've built over the last 2 years with real estate based content and now expanding into the other fields that people want this content. It's there. And it is the future of the industry. The person who owns the eyeballs, the person who has the audience is the person that is going to get the search engine rankings, that's going to be able to take advantage of AI. It's just, it all comes from doing the difficult work up front to get the momentum, to get consumer focused. I could not agree with that more. So you've got the show with the realtor, you develop the show, then how do you take your content from that platform and then really start to grow the audience with it and turn it into a consumer direct strategy?
So let me kind of go back and just reiterate sort of how that process went. We had been doing
Yeah.
the live show for about 18 months. And we said, we should do a podcast because at the beginning of the live show for 15, 20 minutes, we're going through stats, numbers, update on where the market is at, but it's really focused on the listener, the viewer asking questions and us giving them the information that they want. We said, what if we had a little bit longer form, not an hour, but 20, 30, 40 minutes where we can go deep on a topic that we know is tripping up buyers in the current market, we really do focus on buyers. There's not a lot of seller content there, even though Jeb's a realtor. So it's the mortgage process, it's getting offers accepted, it's negotiating escrow, all of that stuff. So we built that, and because of the audience we had for the YouTube live, we came out of the box with about 200 weekly downloads, 200 unique devices accessing the podcast every week through the podcast analytics. As you know, podcast analytics are a little more difficult than some of your online stuff, but it gives us a baseline, it gives us a trend. So it was flat, relatively flat, trending slightly up for about 6 to 7 months. So from August on towards the end of the year, by the beginning of the year, we have about 1,500 unique device downloads accessing the show every week. We're seeing more inquiries coming from the podcast, and it gives us a different direction because I love the feedback of the live show, the interaction, but I also love the direction where we're in control of the message that we're going to get out to the listeners on the podcast.
Yeah, I love that. And one of the things that we leverage our podcast for, just being completely transparent, is search engine rankings. So we will take the titles of the topics that we pull out in the different interviews and map out a keyword strategy specific for that. And oftentimes our shorts, our long form content like YouTube videos, and then the actual podcast itself can rank on the keywords that we're looking for because we're tying them to a larger platform than ourselves and using those other platforms like Facebook and YouTube and Libsyn in order to actually generate those search engine rankings. So one of the things that we do is we look at, okay, what are the different marketing key phrases that are being used in the real estate, mortgage, insurance, wealth management world? And how do we take the conversations that we're having with our guests, focus them around that keyword, and use that to generate more inbound traffic as well? So that's something that's been very helpful for us, is using it as an SEO strategy, and that might help you as well.
Well, 100%. Think of it this way. It's a little paradoxical, but most people, when they say, I'm going to go do video, they go, hey, I've got 25 great ideas. I get questions all the time and I've got a wonderful answer. I'm going to go make that video. You're going to make that video, but start with the title. What is the title? Is it
Yeah.
strong SEO wise? Are people going to be interested? Is there a strong hook there? What's my thumbnail going to be on that video? When someone's scrolling through their YouTube feed, is it going to grab them and make them want to watch it? And then am I starting coming out the box hot with a strong hook? I mean, the greatest advice I can give, I have friends that are great at mortgages and they make video and I look at their videos and I cringe because they start with, hey, this is Josh Lewis, mortgage loan officer here in Southern California. I'm here with a tip today. I want to tell you, People have moved on. But probably
Yep.
by the time you get halfway through your name, no one cares who I am. No one cares what I do. They want to know, what are you trying to tell me? You're here in this video because you think you have something to communicate. It's not who you are and what you do. So get right to it. Hey, I wanted to talk about a big problem today I'm seeing in loans, people moving money here, there, and everywhere, and it can kill a deal. Best case, it causes a lot of extra work, stress, and headaches for all of us. And today I'm going to tell you how not to do that. Now go into it. And it's just a different approach to that video. But I would say start with your title. Think of what your thumbnail is going to look like. What is your hook at the very, very beginning of what you're going to tell people? And that goes all the way through it, even if we go through. So one of the next steps for us, we're talking about, we get as many subscribers. So we've only had the podcast on YouTube for 7 weeks now. In those 7 weeks, we got about
Wow.
145 subscribers, about 600-700 hours of views when you take the shorts out. And we know we got to get to 4,000 hours to monetize, or 1,000 subscribers. The majority of the subscribers are coming from shorts. So if you're not doing shorts, you can make the best videos in the world. Shorts, most people don't have a lot of attention span. When they're waiting on the bus, when they're in line at the grocery store, they'll whip through 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 shorts, but they're not going to sit there and watch your 7 to 10 minute video. So we're
Yep.
getting subscribers. And to me, this is just my theory. I think they're saying, well, that was interesting. I'm going to subscribe. So later, when I'm in my full YouTube feed, I'll see what all of their content is about. So for us, we take the 20 to 40 minute episode of the podcast, I transcribe it, and then in 20 minutes, I can go through the transcription and go, what were the 5, 6, 7 things that are good shorts? We highlight them, send them out to a guy that charges us $5 an hour, takes him about 90 minutes to make, you and I were talking, it's probably a B plus grade of a short, but I spend almost no time on it. And we end up with every episode, 6 to 10 shorts from that. We also want to go back to the live. We got 2 hours of questions. Some of the questions are boring, mundane. Maybe we didn't give the greatest answer to it or the most interesting answer. We want 3 of those a week that are really good to be pulled out of there, that
Yep.
are going to be a 4 to 7 minute video. So going forward, we have about a year's backlog of shows when we weren't on YouTube for the podcast that we're going to be rolling out. So we're doing 3 a week. Once those are
Wow.
all caught up, we want to have 2 to 3 more videos a week. You have the show, you've got 2 to 3 videos of the questions, the best questions of the week. So people can see, if they show up at the channel, they go, hey, these guys cover a topic. Hey, they answer questions. And in every one of those video descriptions, we're telling them, hey, we're here. Here's how you get your question answered. You can fill out this form. If you want to get connected with either one of us, fill that out. If you're in an area where Josh can't do a loan, or outside of California, we have a huge network with Freedom Club, with Jeb Bing and Brian Buffini. We have an expert on the real estate or the mortgage side to connect them with if we can't do it. You can't really geo target this. I'm not going to run a channel that
Yep.
says the California mortgage YouTube channel or the West Coast mortgage YouTube channel. United States, you're going to get that audience. It's all going to be 100% US, and you need to be able to connect them with people that can do as good a job as you will for them.
Yeah, I could not agree more. And so the content is amazing, but I know there's going to be loan officers that are sitting there that aren't focusing on content right now. They're not looking at direct to consumer online. They are considering it, but the question in the back of their mind is probably like, okay, but how much does this actually drive business? Is this just nice to have as a fundamental? Or are we actually closing loans as a result of doing the shows and being on media and YouTube shorts and TikTok and all of this? So, of your total volume, which has put you, 105 in the nation, how much of that would you say comes from the content and the video that you're producing?
Probably about a third. I would say we have, I've done this for 27 years. We made some detours, so the database isn't as big as it should be for 27 years in the business, but it's pretty solid. And with that, we're in front of those people. We're sending mailers. We're calling them regularly. We're asking them for business. Then, like I said, we have referral partners. We have realtors, and then probably the biggest piece is the consumer direct stuff. And what I can say, when someone comes to you, when they have consumed your content and decided that you can solve their problem, it is a different
Yes.
type of transaction. Most loan officers want to work with realtor referred business because they go, hey, if my realtor told them to call me, they already are just predisposed to know, like, and trust me. It's going to be an easier, smoother transaction versus a call just rings. I run a yellow page ad and the call rings. They might be calling 10 other lenders and they're skeptical
Yep.
of everyone. Well, ratchet that up another level. My nephew is my primary front end person. When all of the leads come in, he's trying to contact them, triage. I mean, unfortunately, the downside, I get folks all the time. We're here in Southern California. I get folks that say, hey, I make $40,000. You need to see what I can qualify for. And tell you in Southern California, you don't qualify for anything with
Yep.
$40,000. If you got two more co-borrowers with $40,000, you might get to an entry level home. So a lot of that is just the triage of going, does this person actually qualify? And we're super cool to the ones that don't. And we talk to them, here's the things that we would need to work on before you could get to being a homeowner in this area. But we're really trying to get to those who can transact with us. And they don't have to today. I mean, the reality is these are, Scott Shang likes to say, he calls them early entry buyers. They're
Yeah.
not going to buy tomorrow, but they're doing their homework. It might be 3 months, it might be 6 months, it might be a year. We all would like them to be, in the next 2 to 3 months. It's not always that way, but you get to build the relationship. You have to have the systems behind that to continue to follow up with them and remind them, hey, remember me, the guy who answered your questions, got you pre-approved? Want to make sure whenever you're ready that we're going to be the one to be able to help you get that loan.
Yep. I cannot agree more. And you just hit on something that I feel a lot of people in the mortgage industry miss, but that's absolutely crucial to building a reliable, consistent business that can go through interest rates going up and interest rates going down and keeping volumes consistent. And that's a third, a third, a third. A third of your business comes from your database, a third comes from referral partners, and a third comes from marketing and advertising. And the marketing and advertising component is the most difficult because you've got to go through the lowest quality leads. It traditionally takes the most amount of effort. But once you have it up and you've got a system like you've got, every single deal that you do, well, at pre-approval stage, what does it do? It opens you up to more referral partners. It gives you a realtor, a financial planner, an insurance advisor, those people that you can reach out to set up new relationships. It comes from the application. Then you do a great job with that client. You build the right team. You get the right service in place. That person becomes a referral for life. That deal should produce somewhere in the range of like 4 to 6 more transactions for you over the next 2 years doing proper database marketing with that person in your database. Well, what does that do? That drives people to your consumer direct channels. They become YouTube subscribers. They become Instagram followers. They become the people that are following your content when they get referred to you. And then they come through the same process. By having a consumer direct engine, it's like the coal that you're putting in the train. You've already got momentum with your database. You've already got momentum with referral partners. But if that's the engine, it takes a lot of momentum to get that train moving. Marketing and advertising is the coal that you're putting in the engine to drive the train faster, bigger, better, longer term. And I love that you've done that, Josh.
The extra piece of that, Chris, with video content is you can layer that on top of everything. So let's say we do an awesome job answering a question about, is it okay to have a gap of employment on a job? Well, if that comes up with the client, hey, boom, here's a video where I answered that thoroughly.
Yep.
Even simpler, if we have a video that says, hey, this is what the process should look like when you're getting pre-approved. So you're doing two things. You're letting them know what your process looks like, and you're telling them why the monkey down the street that is just going to ask a couple questions over the phone and say you're pre-approved is wrong. But it's doing it one time and being able to leverage those assets repeatedly. I mean, really, primarily, we all get 5 to maybe at the most 10 questions over and over and over and over again. There's
Yep.
10% of our questions will be outside of that, but 90% of the questions, those same 5 to 10 questions, answer it one time amazingly on video, the best way you ever possibly could, and then never have to answer it again because you can put it in there. Make an introduction video. So I get a lot of introductions from Jeb's channel. It's not Jeb the realtor. When Jeb the realtor has talked to Chris the buyer, it's just your normal transaction. Hey, I need you to talk to Josh. He's awesome. We've worked together for 15 years. He's one of my best friends. He's going to take great care of you like he does all of my clients. But when it's, hey, thanks for watching my channel, I'm going to send you over to my lender of 15 years. I need to reach out to them and remind them, hey, you've probably seen me on Jeb's YouTube channel. You probably know who I am, but I'm a real person. I'm awesome and I'm here to help. So we have like a 90-second video that says that. So when those leads come in, Bonzo shoots that out and gets it in front of those folks. And that, nothing's magic. One of the things that's most mind-boggling to me is throughout this process, people will inquire. They'll watch a video on Jeb's YouTube channel. They'll say, please connect me with a loan officer. You get connected and they never respond. Like that blows
Yep.
my mind. But what this does is it decreases the number of people that do that because you're giving them a comfort level. And kind of what we learned over time, a lot of these people, again, they are early entry. They just have
Yep.
questions and they are worried that you're a shark salesperson and you're going to try and make them buy a house tomorrow. So we're
Yep.
really clear in that video. If you just have questions, you want to spend 10 to 15 minutes, let's get you on the right track, make sure we're answering your questions, asking the right questions, and putting you on track. One of the worst things that I see is we get smart people and they have educated themselves on YouTube and they come with a great game plan and it's 80% correct and 20% off because they watched the wrong video or they didn't understand it correctly. Like, again,
Yep.
27 years of doing this, I'm going to know a little bit more than even the smartest rocket scientist spending 2 weekends on YouTube researching how to do a loan or buy a home.
Yep. Yeah, 100%. And I think that that video also gives you that layer of trust within the person where they can watch the video and make their own decision as to when they're going to reach out, saves you a ton of time. And I mean, one of the problems that we solve for loan officers is we have concierge agents that make those phone calls, vet those people, and book those appointments. And it can be a tremendous amount of time that goes into making those phone calls. It takes an average of 7 phone calls out to a lead that's come through a traditional lead source in order to get that person on the phone and make them feel comfortable. So those videos are just absolutely priceless. It's like a staff member that's going out there and qualifying those people for you at scale. So, Josh, thank you for being so generous with your time. I would love to have you back on the show to get an update on the growth of the channel. But for people that are interested in your branch and what you're doing and your approach to the mortgage business, and I see a lot of people out there that are looking for forward-looking leaders in the mortgage business that they might be able to tack their business along to. Where do people go to find out about the show, to find out about you and reach out?
So we actually have a website for the podcast. It's theeducatedhomebuyer.com, theeducatedhomebuyer.com. You can find the YouTube channel by the same name. My personal website, which is in the middle of being redone to better support all of the things that we talked about to actually function as a funnel versus a little bit of chaos that you see there, is buywisemortgage.com. You go in there, you can get connected with me. You can kind of see it's a Lead Pops website. I'm not saying anything bad about Lead Pops, but if you want something to do something exactly the way you want it, you kind of got to do it in a custom way. So we're working on building all of that where everything funnels down to the actions that we would like them to take, and getting them the answers that they would like. So anyone wanting to reach out, I'm available. You can shoot me an email. My email contact is on the website. But yeah, anything we can do to help.
Perfect. Again, Josh, thank you so much for being on the show. To all of our listeners, all of that information is in the show notes, and you can get those show notes at loanofficerwealthpodcast.com. So loanofficerwealth.com, and looking forward to seeing everyone on the next episode.